Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another thrilling episode of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. We set today's scene in the vicinity of the Cub Cabins, where there's still plenty of snow to be had, shoveling aside, and while for the most part the various Cubs go about their daily practices, their hunts, their training, their time with their individual mentors, there is still another source of knowledge just lingering right there at the very edge of their personal space. And in light of the fact that at least one of them can't really spend the time indoors when her duties and her tasks are over, she'll probably be more often now than before finding herself in the presence of the dead mother. So as such, I will probably start with Maeve approaching the dead mother with all due respect. And while getting on her back would be painful, she's going to see if she can pass with hitting her knees in the snow and offering bared throat.
And the dead mother, unusually in Pomid, currently sat on a bench near the Cub Cabins, gently sort of raises her hand for Maeve to get up.
And she'll do so quickly, because while flopping around in lupus is well and good, because the fur doesn't let much through, clothes get wet, and then they get colder. So she'll hurry back to her feet and dust the snow off of her knees with her hands. And offer a faint nod. Good evening, dead mother.
Good evening. Maeve.
So, we talked before of earning the trust of my fellow Cubs, of creating a sense of solidarity. I have been taking strides in that direction, but I thought that I would come to you for further insight on what I should be doing to succeed as a leader.
What do you think is required of a leader?
An awareness of those that I mean to lead, what they're capable of, how they feel about their duties, what duties they are capable of doing, and the ability to assign them properly to tasks that suit them so that they feel that they are part of a working whole.
What makes them listen to you over other people? Or what will make them?
A trust in my judgment, probably first and foremost, but that you can create by making sure that when you give these directions, that they are directions that make a certain amount of sense. You have to be able to quickly assess the situation, the problem, and assign the proper people to deal with it, and make it work like clockwork.
And do they trust your judgment?
She'll tilt her head slightly in thought.
Have you proven your judgment to them?
Pardon?
Have you proven your sound judgment to them?
I, as far as I know, have shown through my actions that I understand what needs to be done and the best way to get it done. I have accomplished very much as a Cub. I like to think that that trend speaks for itself in a way.
So shall we find out?
She'll kind of blink. As you wish, Den Mother.
Go fetch your den mates.
I manage.
Oh, well, she'll bob her head and take off at a solid little jog for the a lope for the girls' cabin, as it's, let's just say, the closer of the two. And so long as it is not actively snowing at the moment, she can go ahead up onto the porch and get as far as the tarp-covered doorway, wrapping her knuckles on the frame. So knock knock.
From inside you can hear some music being played. That's it. It's just a performance roll, don't worry. Nothing weird. So it still sounds good.
It sounds lovely. That's a lot of successes.
It is a lot of successes, despite the nightmares. Wow. If you would peek around the top, you would see Senna sitting behind the big concert harp, just plucking on the strings. Actually, music sounds rather sad at the moment.
She won't go inside, but she will, in light of not wanting to move the tarp to keep as much of their warm air in as possible, she will sidle over to the window, and upon spotting Senna, will do that thing where you kind of stare at someone's eyes until the feeling of being stared at prompts them to glance up so they can see you, at which point she'll do kind of the smile and wave and a gesture, like a come here sort of gesture.
I really may hope that Talia will notice you.
Why not?
Because apparently every time Senna plays harp, she completely...
She's in the zone, okay?
Yeah,
she
this happened. This happened in the scene with Loving Shadow as well. Like, she was completely oblivious of anything happening around her.
Well, Talia has been quite absorbed by Senna's music, but she does, feeling the eyes on the back of her head, will turn around and be somewhat startled and disturbed by Maeve staring.
It's not so much the intensive stare. It's just you look at someone's eye level and it usually prompts them to eventually glance up or turn around. So she's there, and she mouths something or another. It's probably hard to tell, but she's, again, makes the come here sort of gesture.
At this point, Talia will make a little bit of a sigh and to fold herself from the floor and just she'll go over to the tarp and be like, "Yep, what's up?"
And she'll sidle back over to the tarp. The Den Mother has asked me to gather those of you I can for a lesson. I knocked, sorry, I guess it wasn't loud enough to be heard over the harp.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, it was pretty absorbing music this time. I mean, Sinner's
It
pretty
sounds
sure
good.
about that stuff. Talia will turn around and shout to it, "Yo, Sinner, we're being summoned by Den Mummy."
What? Huh?
We got summoned by the authorities. Come on.
Okay, moment. Need to wrap things up. As she grabs a big cloth and starts wrapping it around the harp, making sure that everything is secure, because temperature differences is killing for a wooden instrument. Keep this in mind, people. And she'll...
Talia's gone to grab her general walking climbing boots, and then gone into the girls' room and grabbed coats for Sinner and herself.
While they're preparing, Maeve is gonna scooch towards the boys' cabin. Sorry, go ahead.
Is putting on the jacket and kind of stumbling over her feet a few times as she looks extremely tired. She's not been looking like that for a while now, actually, but fading nightmares 2 days in a row. It's leaving its marks.
Come on, Sinner. I know. We better go see what she wants.
Fine. Yeah, sure.
So, stomp across the porch and try and see where Maeve has gone.
Maeve has made a brief deviation, and I'm going to quickly post in the chat just to see if any of the boys are there. But I imagine that she's going to go by, give a good hearty rap at the door of the boys' cabin, and when she doesn't see or hear any response, is going to just come back over to the girls' porch and gesture in the direction of Mist Whisper.
Suna will try very hard not to roll her eyes as she. Oh man. What does she want?
I have been asking for lessons to help us in Wolf Home. She suggested that I learn something about leading. So I guess this becomes an object lesson where what you think is pertinent to me learning.
Trying to say something.
Oh boy. Okay, sure. Why not?
Sorry to pull you into the cold.
Nah, the cold is fine. Keeps me awake.
It's pretty cold in the cabin anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't really make much difference. Just the winds. She'll look at her. She'll look at her jeans. She's like, oh, crap. And then she'll follow Maeve towards the towards Miss Whisper. And will there, without hesitation, as soon as she's within reach, drop on the ground and roll over.
Yep. Talia's following over, and she almost looks like she may have half forgotten about dropping down because she's on 2 feet until she sees Senna do it, and then kind of will go down on copy Senna, but still doesn't look like she's particularly comfortable doing it on 2 legs yet.
Mist Whisper smiles gently at all of you. And just raises her hand again.
And Maeve will offer a hand to either one to help get them up off the ground just a little bit faster and go about dusting the snow off their backs so it doesn't get stuck on there and melt and make them gross and wet and cold.
Right.
Suna will get up on her own.
Yeah, Talia will grab the hand, but kind of get up quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Then, Mother Raya, you requested our presence.
I did. Help with a lesson for Maeve. As I spoke to you on a similar subject before, and I have not spoken to the young full moon, but I think she will take the lesson to heart. Leadership. As I told you, Harris, you need to understand part of what's important in leadership is other people's faith in you and them knowing that you are the best choice and that they will follow you. Maeve wishes to learn of leadership. When she is a Theurge, when you go to the Umbra, she will be taking the lead. As that is a duty of the Theurge in the Umbra.
And Maeve will be making a point of looking to either one as this is being spoken to judge their reactions, their expressions.
In addition, Maeve is a close descendant of the Ardrai, the leader of the Fianna tribe. She is close in line to succeed him when the time comes, should she prove worthy. So tell me, you two, when Maeve gives an order to you, Do you have faith it will be a good one? Do you think she will be a good leader? Or rather, do you think she is a good one? Do you trust her instincts?
Sina looks at Maeve, looks at Thalia, Miss Whisper. I have not seen her. I have not seen enough to be able to judge her leading capacities. I have not experienced it for myself. I have heard of a few things that she did. However, those things mostly involved the spirits and therefore not leadership, so I cannot judge what I've heard. I think Maeve is a kind person. But forgive me for saying this, Maeve, forgive me for saying this, then Mother Raya. I do not see her be an alpha. A beta, maybe, not an alpha.
Do not be ashamed. It is the duty of a new moon to say things like this.
And Maeve, for her part, is nodding faintly, and she doesn't look hurt by the assessment. She's listening.
Talia will speak out at this point and be if you're asking about spirits and my judgment and her judgment of spirits, and therefore they're in relation to the Umbra, Maeve seems to have much knowledge about the spirits and her instincts and her ideas when it is come to dealing with the spirit realm, which I admit is not something I particularly understand. Have never seemed to have been wrong so far. She has always had good ideas and been able to follow through on those ideas with regards to spirits. In terms of pure leadership, I would not say I have seen her take strong leadership and take command, but I'm not saying I don't think she could. I think she would need to look more to herself and be more confident in the things she thinks and in her instincts to be successful at it. However, your assertions that she should lead because of some family line, I'm afraid, don't ring true with me.
With that, you can see Senna grin, because that's kind of what she said yesterday, in a way.
Do you doubt the wisdom of Gaia and Mother Luna?
I don't doubt their wisdom. I have just found that when groups are determined simply by right to lead is determined simply by someone's birth and not by their strengths and skills and actions, that this is not.
Well, then you will be happy to know that the deeds of no tribe come close to those of the Silver Fangs. The prowess of the Silver Fangs is truly great indeed.
Approaching the group in a very, very obvious fashion so that he is well within the vision of the dear Raya, and approaching forward. We are in Delirium, we are in front of the Cub Cabin, so it is a veil-protected portion of the sept. Once he is near enough, he'll go ahead and go to his knees in the gesture of flopping over, and then presenting his neck, and then waiting to be actually addressed.
And she will smile at him.
Dear Raya, may I join the gathering?
Indeed.
Thank
You
you, dear
are
Raya.
New Moon as well, correct?
Yes.
So perhaps your wisdom will be appreciated as well. Maeve is the blood of kings.
Mhm.
Or she is a Theurge. Is she a leader yet? She must become one, after all.
Is she a leader right now? She is a leader, but perhaps not a leader of her brothers and sisters in all things. You say that she is to become a leader? In what way is she become a leader?
By the time she gets to Wolfholm, her blood and her auspice means that she will have to take the lead. Any that get left behind will be on her shoulders. Is she ready for this?
She winces a little bit.
Will you follow her lead without question when capacity for higher thought has left you?
Will I follow her when I no longer have my hum in mind?
Yes.
No.
Why?
I and her, we have bonded on a level with the Hamid mind, and we are beginning to go ahead and follow our wolf hearts. But more often than not, I find myself stronger in the wolf heart.
You think highly of yourself.
I am sorry if I am, well, arrogant in this matter.
Why do you believe yourself to be more in touch with your lupus nature?
Mostly because I do not think too far ahead of myself, mostly because I act and do things, and sometimes they turned out to be rather foolish, but when it was of great benefit to everybody, there was no thought involved. I'm a trailblazer. I'm a scout. I find things out. Some things I ought not to know, but I make sure that they are presented to people who ought to know them.
Scouts aren't trailblazers.
Who is a trailblazer then?
You don't blaze a trail, you find it. You follow it, and you find the source. It's not for us to clear the source.
Oh,
But I do think you're right, actually, as she looks at their mother. I think at the moment you've shown more capacity of leading than Maeve, who's been following you. At this point, this is not a pack. At this point, this is a group of individuals who are thrown together, and I would not feel comfortable following any of these people. I would, however, walk aside Talia. She's the one I trust best in this group. I do not consider anyone in this group a leader.
I would agree with Senna. I feel some people have decided they lead, whether they do or not. I have, until recently, not appreciated perhaps the group dynamic and the importance of leadership. I feel that is something that I have become more aware of, and as I am pondering over it, I feel that it becomes more and more important. And as Cinna says, I have seen several of the cubs in several situations, and some have earned my respect more than others, but to have enough respect to blindly trust, and to know they would absolutely have my back, and to trust someone's orders. I feel there are some who I may be working towards that, but I feel there's no one yet that I would turn immediately to.
There is no leader. These two have given their opinions. Lucas, Maeve.
Hmm.
Care to contribute? Who is the leader? Who is the one amongst you who who would follow into Jaws' death come the necessary time, or trust you to lead you out of them?
Den Mother, I can honestly say that thus far, until you presented this idea to me, I have, just as the two of them have said, I have followed Lucas much of the time. I have supported and been a part of these plans. It's not as though I am doing so blindly, but the faith is there that he will have my interest in mind and that what he does is for a good reason. I never saw the need to take the reins before this.
Because, Lucas, you understand what the problem with this is, yes?
Enlighten me, Din Mother.
What moon were you born under?
I was born under no moon.
And what is the duty of a no moon?
Enlighten me, Din Mother.
The duty of an Ragabash is to question and to advise and to aid an alpha in following a wise course. You cannot do that whilst leading. There is a reason the kings and the alphas of this nation are almost never Ragabashes. You cannot do it and fulfill your auspice duties at the same time.
I still disagree with that, then, Mother. Raya. I think you can lead and question. As long as you have someone else to question your behavior, you can lead and question the behavior of your, well, whoever you're set to lead, whether that's a pack or a tribe or a nation.
The second one is still, one of them is fulfilling their duties, the other is not.
I disagree.
Then you are wrong.
You say so.
I know so.
I question that. Then, Mother Raya, with all your respect, of course.
No. Your wisdom is lost with leadership. It's not another's place to question the Aruns. It is, sorry, to question the Alphas. It is the place of the Ragabash. The Alpha would be greater if there were two Ragabash advising him than one who was not born to lead, who does not live to lead, who was anointed by Luna for a position other than leadership.
Surely it is not then that the Ragabashis cannot lead, it is that they would not be the first choice to lead, perhaps. Perhaps that it, but maybe not in all circumstances.
This is that they should not lead. They do. On occasion, it goes wrong, inevitably, and is a betrayal of their duties.
And who are the born leaders? Then, Mother Raya.
The born leaders often in war, many will claim it was that the true leaders are the Philodox. Sorry, in peace, it's the Philodox. in war are runes. Although,
But by this logic, no one can be a king. You would have a president. Because war and peace, it's always war or peace, but it's never one thing and never for a lifetime.
which is why
Maybe
the
10
runes.
years of peace, and then a war starts.
Which is why
Which
the
is
runes.
leaderships?
Sorry, she starts speaking. Which is why the runes are normally the most default leaders. Also, and one thing that you all must learn, that the lupus side of you embraces a display of dominance as a legitimate reason for leadership. The runes are best at demonstrating their dominance. Thus they lead. We are, after all, warriors. We are a warlike culture. We live to fight, we live to die.
Din Mother, what do we do when we are not fighting?
Find something else to fight.
Blink.
Are you telling me that you cannot find an enemy here? And she stretches out her arms and starts and gestures towards the city.
Din Mother, I can tell you that the influence and taint of the worm well within the Weaver's webs, within here the Tellurium and in the Umbral scape. You would advise us to, after one fight is over, continue recon and finding another threat to put down.
If it does not leave a sept undefended, yes. How do we serve Gaia by sitting idle?
Very well. While we are reconning and we have nothing to fight and still gathering intelligence, what do we do?
You are doing recon at that point. You are doing something. If not, then you train to fight. This is what you do.
I can see the wisdom in training. I can see the wisdom in keeping ourselves at peak combat efficiency.
We are, even if a sect is not at war, the Garu nation is always at war. Every single moment of peace is simply a brief respite to prepare for the next. Whether it's against Banes, whether it's in the depths of the Umbra, whether it's in the Tellurian, all that matters, deep down, is the next fight.
Din Mother Raya, let me ask a question here. Is there any way to enjoy the respite or the peace?
What do you mean?
When we... I'm sorry, you said something?
The Fianna have their revels, brief nights of joy. The Fianna make many nights of joy. But there is no true peace for us. There is no peace for Garu. And to relax and forget that is the greatest of all betrayals of Gaia. To sit idle as she screams.
Is there any way, Din Mother Raya, when we are in respite, to make amends and heal the damage that has been done?
To heal? I would say, as many of my breed would, that the greatest way to heal is to burn away that which is causing great wounds. Cities and the so-called civilization of the humans.
Where does this have anything to do with leadership?
Because when you understand that we are in a permanent state of war, you understand why the leadership is necessary and the qualities that make a leader better.
Even in peace, leadership is necessary.
But peace is ultimately, like I say, just a temporary respite.
But in peace or in war, whether you want to call it peace, surely you say we're not sitting idle. Decisiveness and activity, whoever's making the decisions, and are the what's most important then.
They are very good qualities in a leader.
Then, Mother Raya, how does a leader relate to his fellows?
That very much depends on the leader themselves. There are any number of ways of leading. As to relating to others, empathy is a skill that many leaders have, but it is not universal. It's not absolutely required. But if it is something they possess, there is any number of ways they can do it.
Maybe it might be personal for me, Raya, but in this situation, if you're talking about leadership of peace is all very well, but if you say peace is the smallest part of our time, surely someone who earns respect and can be trusted and people trust to have actions and to have their back is more important than someone whose shoulder they feel they can cry on.
Correct. No one will cry on the shoulder of our king. But he is one of the greatest warriors in the nation, maybe the greatest. And has performed greater deeds than most Garu who have ever lived.
Can I ask you all something?
Ask away.
Gesture.
Go ahead.
I understand that I have not in any way expressed myself as a leader, and I never really expected to, but we have been through our scrapes, we have seen combat together, we have tackled non-combat together. If I were to turn to any one of you and ask you in a situation to do something that suited your skills, that may involve you stepping out, would you trust that I had your best interest in mind and that I had a plan and a reason for asking you to do it? If I asked Talia to flank something when it means opening her to danger, perhaps briefly, or if I asked Lucas to do his duties, if I asked Yusina to investigate something, which means that, much like you do already, you would be separating yourself from the group, but you would probably get very good intelligence in doing so. Would you trust me enough to do that thing that I have asked you that suits your skills?
Not without questioning.
I would trust that you mean well, but I wouldn't necessarily trust that you're not holding back in some way. That your actions are necessarily the best way to achieve things, or the most efficient way to achieve things.
Lucas goes ahead and gives a 2 times. 2 times I can recount in my head that we've done something incredibly stupid and silly. 3 times, actually. 4. A lot of times, but 2 in
A lot
particular.
of times.
We have done something stupid, silly, well beyond our station. The first one to go ahead and scout the meteor trailblaze away and then bring our fellow Raya's brothers and sisters of Gaia to the final confrontation with Leviathan. We were both on that mission together, as silly and stupid that was, and all throughout that time, I can safely say that you had my back and I had your back. And when you asked something of me, well, I believed it was in the best interest. The second time where I knew that you at least had my brother's back was during the winter adventure towards Glacier. And we both fought that ancestor spirit that had been corrupted. And I saw you ferrying away items and making sure that people were healed up as per your auspice duties. And even more recently, towards the Brooklyn Bridge, it was me, you, and Talia. I had to go ahead and give my faith into you that you could create a deal with the Blizzard in order to push it the way that Sepp needed. And even you, Talia, I had to have a lot of faith in your strength. You may have asked me to trailblaze for you, and I did.
I would clarify one point, Maeve, that in all the situations I have been in with you, most of the time you have made good choices and you have given me confidence in you. There are, and the bridge is a good example, and as I stated before, you dealing with spirits, I will happily follow any directions you give me in how to deal with a spirit. However, the two things I would say is, as been mentioned before, so far, although you have not been put in a situation so far where you've had to make too many decisive decisions and lead, so far you have all, most of the time as I've observed it, looked to others rather than yourself to make decisions. This may
Yes.
be harsh, but my other point, the only other situation that concerned me, and we have discussed this before, was the fish farm, and whether this would make me concerned about you leading me in battle.
I would like to agree with Talia over here. I will never, ever question the fact that you have our best interests. I trust you to want to do what's right. However, I think that your way of seeing right disagrees with what I think is completely right. Not a lot, but small things. Sometimes
Not.
you have to make something bad in order for the bigger picture to become good. I like Talia. I've seen you look at others, honestly trying to help, but a leader doesn't help. A leader takes those tough decisions, and I've seen you take none. That doesn't mean that they haven't been there, it just means that I haven't seen them.
You all talk about Homid feelings too fucking much.
Blink?
The Den Mother looks up at Olaf and raises an eyebrow.
He shows the Den Mother his throat, as is proper.
You feel that I am too Homid?
Not you, Raya. He waves towards the cubs.
It would be nice if they could. There is a way that this will be settled by Lupus. But I feel that will possibly be less constructive in the long run. Which is one of these things that I have learned over my time since my first change. I mean, we could just... The other lesson on leadership, it could be the Lupus lesson on leadership right now, And she smiles at Olaf and then looks at them. If you think they have reached the mindset where they would accept it.
He eyeballs the cubs for a quick minute. Interesting concept. Oh, let's see here. I'll try to make this in as fine a point as I can. I've led all of you in fights before. Did you see me ask a lot of questions about how you felt? Or did you see me breach fucking doors and show you how it's done?
Olaf Raya, do not forget that you inherently outrank us. It is our duty to listen to you.
But you weren't.
Sorry.
Oh, go on. He would never interrupt Miss Whisper.
Are you saying that you would not listen to the Den Father were he not outranking you in some way that he has not earned his position through deeds and wisdom?
Of course not, Den Mother. I just mean that the inherent nature of things is that Olaf has seen more, done more. He has earned his way to where he is, and we have not. It only makes sense that when we go to do something, when he leads us, we follow him.
Then questions on how he led are, I think, quite relevant, like you say. Continue, Den Father.
Any of you know what ductus exemplo means?
Lead by example.
Attaboy. That's how you lead the Guru Nation.
Show not tell.
Indeed. You ask me whether or not I want to charge a bunch of Formori head on while they're shooting silver at me. You're giving room for doubt. Don't leave room for doubt. Just know, show, and do. If you actually have to give a verbal order at that point, you give it. Make absolutes and drive on. Sitting here talking about how you feel and how you're justified. You know you're fucking justified, your Gaia's warriors. So do.
Anybody here? Nope, sorry. Just go ahead, go on.
No, I was just going to say, Mr. Whisper smiles and looks back at the cubs.
So, act first. Not to say rashly, but action first, then deal with the consequences afterwards. That's a point of view I can see.
Point of view of what makes a good leader of the nation is that people know and trust the action.
Oh, God.
Maeve is still looking thoughtful, though she is peony bait at the moment.
Oh, when you say that, it means like I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Talia's not really looking at Maeve, she's more focused on the other two at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat confused.
Wow. Mr. Whisper is clearly quite confused by
She's
I mean-
thinking so hard. It's
Oh
so
my-
weird. Why is she thinking so hard?
Yeah.
3
That's
successes.
2 10s, 2 9s, and an 8. What the fuck?
Yeah, you want that roll when it actually matters.
Yeah.
Lucas knows all.
all her dice, all her successes to Lucas.
That's obviously what happened.
She is a river to her people.
So, for Olaf's sake, she's deep in thought. She's obviously digesting what's being said. He probably gets the faintest impression that there's more than just thoughtfulness there. Senna will probably have noticed as the talk has gone back and forth that while certain things that have said may have struck chords, she has determined not to take these things personally, as this is something she asked them to tell her. She looks maybe a little disappointed with how it's all shaking out, but it's all pretty understandable. And in Lucas's case, it is plainly obvious, considering especially the subject that actions speak louder than words, then that the retarded shit that the two of them have done together has not earned her more recognition than what she has at this point.
Alright, so we have done so much retarded shit.
We have
And
done
is-
things that seem stupid at a glance, but in the end deeply benefited the nation or the sept. And it's obviously kind of weighing on her some that those things are being remembered more for how silly they seemed at the time than for the results.
Okay.
Right.
Lucas will remember this and bring it up later.
Senna will stand up. She'll look at the rest. I think I know a way to do this. I think I'd like to demonstrate something, but for that I would like all of you just to stand for a moment.
What are you going to demonstrate?
If not.
He looks at you and says, what are you going to demonstrate?
An idea of how leadership works.
Is the first step to make us all stand up?
Well, does that mean that you're not going to do it?
Maeve kind of leans over. We're already standing.
Oh, okay, fair
I
enough.
don't know. I've only heard that, I've only heard you say okay, but I've never heard anyone say that you're standing. Like, who's going to stand if she asks?
Miss Whisper is smiling at this whole affair, by the way.
So Talia will have stepped forward and been like, so what do you want us to do?
Yep, Maeve is also taking obvious interest and has nodded.
She looks at Lucas. Well,
You can't answer a question with a question.
Can't you?
You can, Danny Mother Raya, but it's not very informative.
Have you never
look,
had the opportunity to have an exchange with Chimera and Brood?
Mother Raya, I have not, although that is an experience that I will seek out.
I believe it will be informative if that is your current belief.
Fair enough.
You'll find more wisdom in Chimera than in perhaps any other spirit. But you will work for it.
Sinner, lay your plan before us before we agree.
well, I will say that Lucas was entirely right. Maeve, this is a solution. This is an example. You all stand because there's no harm in standing up. And you're doing this for me because I ask you to. This is leadership on a small scale. The bigger the scale, the more you have to show that people can trust you. It's that simple. Like, I'm not, like, if I ask you to climb a tree and I climb the tree first, and the rest of you follow, that's still doable. If I ask you to fight for Mori and I will fight alongside you, then it's going to be more tricky because who am I that is a good leader in a fight? So, as said before, your actions aren't bad. Just, I would not follow you blindly in everything.
Well,
So,
of course not.
I'll talk to you guys later because I think this lesson is over for me. She'll move away.
Olaf,
Huh.
Raya,
Yes, Lucas.
do you remember what I asked you to do when we were sitting at that cafe with Garrett and Maeve over here? What did I ask you to teach me?
Lucas, I frankly don't remember. I've taught you so much, boy.
Olak, Tryggvason, Riot, and Father, I asked you to tell me how to soldier, how to be a soldier. Am I a soldier?
You've certainly gotten good at following orders. And I was right proud of the way you tore that thing's throat out of the fishery.
Am I good at giving orders and directives?
Fuck no, you're a ragabash.
You obviously didn't see me at the fishery. He goes ahead and gives a big smile. Did Garrett ever tell you that story?
Nah,
I will have to ask Garrett.
indeed.
Do you remember that hole that you fell out of when you were retreating? After it was all said and done?
Okay, at this point, even the player's getting a little hazy here.
There was a hole in the
Cut
fence.
a hole in the hedge. In the fence.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, that thing.
Well, the main fighting force was giving us the biggest distraction in the world. You were quite a good distraction, and I don't think my particular part of the mission would have been a success without it. But I was the one leading that sneaky group, opening that hedge, giving Albert the instructions. And Garrett, fantastic ragbash he is.
Can you roll me manipulation subterfuge, because that's a lie.
Oh, what am I lying about?
The specific order to lead was given to Garrett.
Oh, okay. Can we retcon that really quickly?
Okay, yeah. If you don't want to, if you feel that Lucas wouldn't lie about that, yeah, it was very explicitly given to Garrett.
Okay. Then rewind a little bit. Ask Garrett how that particular part of the mission went. Can we go with that one?
So,
Okay. Then I will simply leave it at that. I apologize if my as a player was dumb for like several seconds there.
That does moments all the time, bro.
Yeah, to be fair, for your clarification, Garrett was told to lead, but he did let.
yeah. No,
He did certainly let Lucas do the trailblazing.
Lucas did an awful lot there, and he absolutely did. But Garrett was told to lead.
Again, I apologize. Continue on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose we will have to be talking to Garrett now, won't we?
I will do.
Electric Boss and Raya, the only reason I mention this is I wanted to be a soldier for Gaia. And I believe under your tutelage, I've gotten more that way there.
Oh, very well then. We'll see how you do during your rite of passage.
Yes, Raya.
And in the wake of all this, Maeve will look to Miss Whisper. Raya, seeing all this, hearing all this, Are you still so sure that I'm meant to lead?
Yes. But you need to understand what that means. And you would only begin to understand if it came from those around you, not from me. You are, like I say, the niece of the Ardrai, and have the blood of heroes in your veins. If you do not become good enough to lead, then that is a betrayal of every single one of them. And it's a betrayal of the nation. Are you prepared for that?
No, Raya, I just did not expect to be put in this position. I had thought that the role of a theurge was to tend the spirits and to tend the spirit of her pack even, but not necessarily to lead it except in the Umbra. And even then, the trip to Wolfholm I can understand being expected to lead. The trip back I can understand being expected to lead. But when we were there, I'm not serving as a theurge because I cannot speak to the spirits. I will be deaf to them. But we will still be facing combat. Pardon?
Who is the alpha of the Hunters of the Lost?
Katori.
Who is the alpha of the Strides of Ice and Concrete?
She kind of blinks because that has actually never been clarified to her.
It's Kachina.
Oh.
Really?
No,
I thought it was
no,
Aaron.
It's still Aaron, but they're currently in the process of splitting the pack, and Kachina will become the alpha. So, sorry, who is beta of the Strides of Ice and Concrete?
And she's, again, it's something that just hasn't been clarified to her in character, but considering the trend here, she's going to guess. Kachinaraya, I guess.
Who is the alpha of the Sept?
Mother Larissa.
And who is the Margrave of the Shadow Lords?
Blink.
A woman called Kunetsko. What do they all have in common?
They're theurges.
Indeed. We are half spirit. We operate hugely in the Umbra. These are the domains of the Theurge. Just as important as the ability of an Arun to fight, or a Philodox to reign in our tempers. These are the things that matter. These are things that matter.
And so it's... Sorry.
Theurges can lead. Just carry on, sorry, she stops talking.
She just kind of is thinking. She's still... I mean, she's accepted the idea, if only because, well, Miss Whisper insists that this is so. But it's still one of those things that kind of rolls around her head. Then I will have to do more.
The burden of leadership is a heavy one. It is a challenge. No one pretends otherwise.
She's gonna take a glance at Olaf. He's doing like the nod along thing, isn't he?
He's not even nodding, dude. He's just sitting next to her. Might have been a point where he like reached for his cigarettes, but given the superior Even in Hamid, sometimes he's heard of it before. Olfactory qualities of the lupus. Out of consideration for the Den Mother, he hasn't lit up yet. But it's very obvious that, for better or for worse, him and Mist Whisper are generally on the same wavelength when it comes to things about leadership.
Well, in light of all that, she'll kind of turn towards Talia. Talia, you in particular, I want you to trust me. And I have tried to do as well by you as I can since you've come here. If there is ever a point where there is something that I can do that further proves that I will do well by you, tell me it. But I don't expect you to just go think up something on the spot. But
Maeve,
if there's ever a moment,
I hope you feel that I have been and I will continue to be honest with you.
of course.
All I can say at this point, more than what I've said, is that, as you have said, you were sort of unaware of the potential of these responsibilities and sort of not, in a way that I myself can recognize that it's not something I had naturally before coming here, or even whilst I've been here. Perhaps I've been myself too eager and too easy to find it just too easy to follow others and to take their direction. I think that, or I hope that now you are more aware of these possibilities, you will find it easier and more to take on some of that and to step into those roles. It's hard when someone points out to you there's something that you haven't done that you weren't really aware that you should have been doing. So if I feel there's something I can offer, tell you, or suggest, then I will. Right now, I just can say that Miss Whisper has made you aware of this. Travis has made efforts to make me aware of my own responsibilities. So I guess going forward, we just have to try and make the show the others that we are making the best choices that we can, and then through that we can gain the respect that we need to form a pack and to work together.
And she'll nod with some resolve and with at least a partial smile. Well, I hope that now that I know that this is something that expected of me, it is something that I can excel in as well as my other studies.
Babe. You're doing the thinking thing again.
I can't not.
You gotta lead from the front. It is exactly that simple. It's also one of the fucking hardest things you're ever gonna do with your life.
And you can tell, even the concept of having to lead from the front, like, her mind is churning. She's trying to think of ways to make it happen without falling flat on her face. She's trying to think of ways up so that when she has to lead first in battle, she isn't cut down immediately. It's just churning constantly.
Maeve, the one thing I would say to you, in the situations that we have been in and the situations we look like that we're going to be in, if you would like to lead, or at least from my part, I'd rather respect you than like you.
She nods. No, I understand. And I guess at this point it's just waiting for the opportunity.
There'll be plenty.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee it.
Hopefully before we go traipsing across the Umbra.
If Lucas is singing and making light of this, Talia is going to turn and glare at him.
As soon as you glare at him, that sing-songy nature that he had disappears.
Then Mother Raya,
Yes, then, Father.
you done with these?
Yes. They've learnt. They can think on this lesson.
Come break bread with me then.
Be a delight.
And I suppose they're both standing. In the case that they are, not only does Olaf leave with her, but he even extends his arm like a proper gentleman.
And she accepts it as a dainty society lady she almost looks like.
Mm. Are the two Rayas walking away?
Yes.
Lucas looks to the two others that are still, beside him and say, okay, so I got the projector all set up. What do you want to watch? Raiders of the Lost Ark? Star Wars A New Hope?
You're completely
Looking at
terrible.
Talia.
This is what you want to do right now.
Well, either do that, or we could definitely go on a hunt. Currently don't have any good excuses to finagle anybody to bring us outside the sept. What would you like to do?
Sooner or later, I do need to find Inglings. And Talia, I'd certainly like to have you with us when we do.
I would like to be there.
Didn't answer my question. Big stupid smile on his face.
Perhaps a good look around for Inglings would warm me up too, before we settled in for a movie.
Yeah, sure. I'm all up for that.
Best to know where they congregate, where they walk, so that when the time comes that we are ready to ambush one, look into Lucas.
If you would like to range around the Umbra, and this seems like a reasonable thing to do, I think in light of what has just been heard, if Maeve would like some practice, it may only be simple, but if Maeve would like to lead and see what we can find.
Awesome. No Garu tongue, only wolf gestures, lupus ways.
Agreed.
She'll loft her brows for a second and nod. And grin.
All right. Public bathrooms over there, he says, as he starts walking towards one of the public restrooms to use that big fantastic mirror to step sideways.
Maeve will just pull a compact out of her pocket and offer it to Talia first.
She'll take it and go across, going nice and slowly.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like, just, yeah. Well
Not big
aware
on that rushing across anymore.
Those
Yep,
memories linger. Those memories linger.
Yep, and as she flickers out and the compact drops, Maeve will catch it and use it herself.
This being the wonderful excuse for the Rayas to go ahead and speak. Privately, away.
Yes.
Oh, these two are gonna have like a lovely dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I bought a dot of etiquette a long time ago. He won't even make an ass of himself.
Fair enough. She has many dots in etiquette, so yeah, she'll do well.
Well then, until I can find an ST that I can hassle into some Inglings, shall we call this it?
Yep.
Then thank you players for playing. Thank you creepers for creeping. Thank you ST for STing. And we will see you next time on another thrilling episode of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.